Bonjour à tous, leçon 23, c'est l'avant-dernière leçon de ce cours de français. Aujourd'hui, nous allons apprendre comment poser des questions simples en français et nous allons voir different ways of asking questions in French. Allez, c'est parti, on attaque. Regardez, look at that. This is not a dialogue, just lots of questions, lots of different ways to ask a question. Tu habites où? Where do you live? Tu fais quoi? What do you do? Est-ce que tu aimes le chocolat? Do you like chocolate? Quelle est ta nationalité? What is your nationality? Guys, remember, this is one of the four first questions we saw during the beginning of this French course for beginners. Qu'est-ce que tu détestes? What do you hate? Ou qu'est-ce que tu adores? What do you love? It doesn't have to be hate. It doesn't have to be detest. It can be aimer, adorer. Aimes-tu le chocolat? Do you like chocolate as I do? Because I really do love chocolate. So, now, différentes manières de poser une question. Different ways to ask a question in French. In French, you can ask direct questions, which is subject plus the verb. Tu aimes, subject, verb, and later any complement. Tu aimes le sport, do you like sports? Tu t'appelles comment? What is your name? But in that case, we say you are named how? Vous descendez à quel arrêt? You get off at which stops? In that specific case, note that the interrogative adjective is placed at the end of the sentence if it's not a yes-no answer. Ce que je veux dire, what I want to explain is, when I ask, tu aimes le sport? The answer is yes or no. Tu aimes le sport? Oui, j'aime le sport. Non, je n'aime pas le sport. But when we use an interrogative adjective like comment, à quel arrêt, the answer is more specific. Tu t'appelles comment? I'm not going to answer oui, non. I'm going to answer Vincent. Je m'appelle Vincent. Vous descendez à quel arrêt? À l'arrêt République. Je descends à l'arrêt République. So when it's not a yes, no answer, the adjective goes at the end of the sentence. And we will always start with sujet, tu, vous, etc., etc., et le verbe. Another way to ask question. In French, we can use est-ce que followed by a subject and a verb. Tu aimes le sport? Est-ce que tu aimes le sport? Vous faites du sport? Est-ce que vous faites du sport? Basically, it's easier to ask a question that way because like this, you make sure it's a question because sometimes you can say, tu aimes le sport? And people will say, is that a question or is that just an affirmative sentence? So when we use est-ce que, we make sure it's a question. It's a yes, no question or answer. Remember that most of the time, est-ce que is used for yes, no answer. Est-ce que, subject and verb. Est-ce que tu sors? Do you go out? Oui. No. Yes or no. But we can use est-ce que with an interrogative adjective. The only twist is that the construction of the sentence is different. So look at that. Regardez. Est-ce que tu t'appelles comment? Non, c'est pas possible. Non, 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 non. We will have to say comment est-ce que tu t'appelles? So, it's definitely a bit more complicated, but there's an explanation to that. Il y a une explication, bien sûr. When there is an interrogative adjective, est-ce que will follow that adjective. That's why we cannot say est-ce que tu t'appelles comment? Because comment is the interrogative adjective. We have to start the sentence with the interrogative adjective, add est-ce que, and later the subject and the verb. Comment est-ce que tu t'appelles? Pourquoi est-ce que tu es là? Why are you here? Pourquoi est-ce que tu es là? In French, you can use quel followed by the verb être. Remember, quelle est votre nationalité? What is your nationality? Quel est ton sport préféré? What is your favorite sport? But French, we say, what is your sport favorite? Remember that quel has a masculine, a feminine, and plural form, depending on the noun. Sport, masculine, quel. Nationalité, féminine, quel. It's the same pronunciation, but the way we write it is different. For example, donc, quel est ton sport? Quelle est ta nationalité ou votre nationalité? Mais, être will be conjugated in singular or plural if the noun is plural. For example, when we talk about going to the doctor, that was one of the questions. Quels sont vos symptômes? Here, symptoms is plural. It has an S. We're talking about different type of symptoms. So first of all, quel is masculine and plural, but the verb être also has to be in plural because the noun is plural. Quels est vos symptômes? Non, 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 non. Quels sont vos symptômes? Okay? Another way to ask question in French, we can use qu'est-ce que or quoi. Regardez. Qu'est-ce que tu fais le samedi? Le samedi, tu fais quoi? On Saturdays, what do you do? It's the same exact question. What is the difference? Remember that qu'est-ce que is used to start the question and quoi to end it, but it's the same meaning. What? Qu'est-ce que tu fais le samedi? Le samedi, tu fais quoi? You can choose one or the other, up to you, the one you prefer. Finalement, in French, we can reverse the verb and the subject for a more formal question. So just take a basic direct question, the one I use a lot. Vous aimez le chocolat? Do you like chocolate? Instead of say vous aimez le chocolat, if I'm writing maybe a letter or I'm in a really formal context, instead of saying vous aimez, I will say aimez-vous. Aimez-vous le chocolat? This is like est-ce que. Remember, I can say est-ce que vous aimez le chocolat? Using est-ce que, I am sure at 100% that it's a question. It's not a fact or an affirmative sentence. It's the same thing for sujet, verbe inversé. I am making sure that this is a question. Vous aimez le chocolat? Aimez-vous le chocolat? Oh, est-ce que vous aimez le chocolat? We have three ways to ask the same exact question in France. But it's always used for yes, no answer. Remember, most of the time, it's always used for yes, no answer. We can use it with interrogative, adjective as well, but it's a more complex sentence for beginners level. For example, pouvez-vous m'aider? Can you help me? I could also say, est-ce que vous pouvez m'aider? Remember, attention, if I have the subject and the verb reverse, inversé, I don't have est-ce que. Pouvez-vous m'aider? If I'm using est-ce que is at the beginning of the sentence and it's followed by the subject and the verb. Est-ce que vous pouvez m'aider? Can you help me? Live exercise. Now, people, you have to find the question to this answer. Let's see what you've got. Here are different answers. You have to find the question. J'habite à Paris. I live in Paris. What's the question here? Je m'appelle Vincent. That's facile, hein? Très facile, this one. Oui, j'adore le chocolat. Sorry to be that annoying with chocolate, but I do love chocolate. Next one. Le samedi, je me repose. On Saturdays, I just rest. So what are the questions here? Are you able to find the question to these answers in French? Okay, let's see. J'habite à Paris. Je m'appelle Vincent. Oui, j'adore le chocolat. Le samedi, je me repose. Allez, regardez. J'habite à Paris. Tu habites où? Another way to ask that question would be où habites-tu? Or où est-ce que tu habites? There's so many ways to ask the same question in France. Je m'appelle Vincent. Tu t'appelles comment? Comment tu t'appelles? Comment est-ce que tu t'appelles? Oui, j'adore le chocolat. Tu aimes le chocolat? Est-ce que tu aimes le chocolat? Aimes-tu le chocolat? Et finalement, le samedi, je me repose. Le samedi, tu fais quoi? Qu'est-ce que tu fais le samedi? Woo! Magnifique! Bravo! Little recap. Okay, today we learn how to ask simple questions in French. Basically, sujet, verbe. Tu aimes French School TV. Tu aimes le français? With est-ce que? Est-ce que tu aimes le français? Qu'est-ce que ou quoi? Qu'est-ce que tu fais? What do you do? Tu fais quoi? Any question with quel, the verb être, and later a noun. Quel est ton artiste préféré? Quelle est ta nationalité? Quels sont vos symptômes? Quelles sont vos activités le week-end, par exemple? And later, we have the sujet-verbe inversé, verb and sujet. Aimes-tu le chocolat? Fais-tu du sport? Prends-tu le bus numéro 5, etc., etc. Next lesson. C'est la dernière. It will be the last one of this complete French course for beginners. We will learn how to talk about holidays. So we will learn how to talk in past tense. So don't miss it. Allez, tout le monde. Remember that you have to download all the PDF, go to the Telegram account. Don't forget to like, j'aime, abonnez-vous, subscribe. It's always lovely for you to do that. And à bientôt, à la prochaine leçon. Salut!